I want to share with you guys the scalable selling system that allow one of my clients to make $100 million with their inside sales team. It's a brand new inside sales team in 2 years. And I was thinking about what were the things that allow us to build a massive team, scale it, all remote, and not let things fall through the cracks and actually continue a never ending iteration cycle in the process. And this is basically a flowchart that I come up with of how things work and how they're distributed across the funnel and some of the purposes behind each of them. So basically, it is something where on a funnel in general, this is not like, I don't want to spend time like explaining the basic stuff. So if you want that, I mean, it's not for you, but I just want to get to the nitty gritty and technical part. So basically, if you look at direct to consumer brands, they have some sort of limitation when it comes to the channels that they can use, right? People say out there that they can use outbound for everything, for all types of businesses. I mean, you could probably use it, but if you're selling, let's say, teeth whitening, you know, as a product, I guess you won't be able to scale as quickly or as hard with like outbound, right? So it isn't necessarily, it is technically true, but I would say like practically dishonest to say that, you know, there's four types of acquisition channels for direct to consumer brands, like outbound content, paid traffic, and partnerships. Overall, the way that I see it, for the most part, for most businesses right now that are direct to consumer brands, there's the enterprise types of content, which is SEO, paid traffic, and basically these two, honestly. There's the influencer type of content where it's like a person that needs to create a bond with the brand, right? Like nobody wants just to buy a brand anymore. They need to see a face, even if it's an AI face, you know. Crazy times to be alive. But this also includes like paid traffic and stuff like that, and referral partners, right? Affiliates, software that are in, you know, a partnership and things along those lines. And they all go to these acquisition channels: referral, SEO, content creation, cold paid traffic, and social distribution. And from, you know, these top of funnels elements that are generated by these content actors, we get to the trust builders, which is the newsletters, lead magnets, BSLs, live events, workshops. But the thing is, anyone can do this. It's just like, I now get to why we scaled so much. But there's like, anyone can do this, but they do it in a sloppy way, right? They send one newsletter and think they have a newsletter. They create one lead magnet. They think they have a lead magnet, right? They have one funnel that's not being tested, any split test, any A/B test, and they think they have a funnel. They do one webinar a year, and they're saying to themselves like, I do all of this. I mean, you may do it all of this, but like, if you are fat and you say you go to the gym and you've been to the gym twice in a month, you're not lying, but your body says differently, right? Like in this case, your business says differently. But continuing to, you know, in down funnel, there's the tripwire and mechanisms, right? Like this is where the mid funnel activities also start happening a little bit more. I put it in here, but it, as you can see, goes like to both, where it's like people are buying low ticket products. They are part of your email list. There's an AI dialer or a normal setter calling. There's a community they engage with. And the goal of these top funnel, mid funnel activities is to qualify them, segment them into categories of potential customers, right? We segment them based on their spending potential. And the benefit of doing this for inside sales team is because number one, you're almost never unqualifying leads. And that will increase your overall sales number. It will decrease your close rate. But the fact that you're almost never unqualifying leads gives you the benefit of ramping up new reps with leads that otherwise wouldn't even go to the calendar. Making sure that you have a clear, let's say, career path for the reps, that they start here on the, let's say, lower level leads, and they go all the way to the highest quality leads in their calendar. So it always has, there's an incentive for them to perform, because if they start underperforming, they're gonna get like the worst type of leads. And then for the new closers, if they're coming in, you don't want to give like the best lead to them, because they won't probably be able to sell as good as like the veteran closers. So you don't want to like burn through leads, right, when you're ramping up a new closer. But that all goes to a call. I see a lot of people saying like, oh, you can sell like 5K programs without a call. Just sign up here and I'll show you how. Like, whoever is doing in their content the offer that they're selling, they are just basically a scam, right? Like, they're telling you they can sell 5K programs without sales calls because they want to sell you a 5K program without a sales call to make you believe it's possible. And that's what they do. Same way for content creators that say, I went from 0 to 100K followers in 30 days, and this is my content system. Like, they're just selling the thing that they're doing to promote it, right? To advertise. There's no essence, there's no substance to it. So I still think you need an inside sales team. You know, if you want to sell more of the 5K programs, you probably could sell some 5Ks through DMs. But if you want to sell more, I think you need an inside sales team, right? I mean, you can sell $100,000 through DMs, a $100,000 deal on DMs. You can sell one in your lifetime, but I'd much rather sell 100 million in 2 years with an actual team. So just keep that in mind. I am a little bit more critic of the things that happen. I try to think based on the content that I'm seeing, instead of being like super, oh my gosh, I'm doing something wrong. I have a sales team and these people are selling 5Ks on DMs. I know this is pure BS. So with that being said, there's obviously the call activities that can happen, right? The person, whenever they schedule a call, they can either get canceled, no show, or show. When they show, they can either become a customer or not. And as you can see, like, this whole system is a closed loop, meaning if they aren't qualified, they go back to the trust builders and the tripwires and mechanisms, right? They are marinating over here. And even if they like cancel or no show, they always come back to like the follow-ups. And then I should actually put an arrow here that also they go back to these, right? The customer, he doesn't just, it's not a linear process like it was during the, 2017, 2016, that you could just have like one opt-in page, one form, one booking page, and one thank you page, and expect it to, each customer that lands there on their first click, it's going to convert and it's going to, generate you a sale. Typically, these days, there's less trust in the market because of shitty people that were selling bullshit. So the customer actually goes through, they may see this newsletter a few times, they may download a few lead magnets, they have watched your VSL, they've been to a webinar, and then they think, okay, these guys, they're legit. I think I want to move forward now. I've had enough information, and then they decide to move forward. But the most important thing is just to make sure that whoever lands in your system, the only way out is unsubscribing or replying stop to your SMS. Like, they shouldn't stop hearing from you if they are in your CRM. And you can do that with automation, artificial intelligence, in a way that it's not like, it sounds a little bit more natural instead of being, the typical SMS blasts that we see these days. So just some results here as well, like some proof that I'm just not a random idiot online coming up with shit. This is like how much we're doing on a monthly basis. This is a while ago when I was running paid ads for one of our clients, almost a 10x ROAS for high ticket service products. This is like how much money we're making on a weekly basis, and counting refunds, net cash, the head count of the closers. This is net cash on a monthly basis. As you can see, like, for us to do 6.22 mil net, obviously we did 7 point something gross sales. This is the number of closers just in one account. This is our quest conversion rate. See how much, like, we try to optimize this thing. Like, we have spent so much time just optimizing the funnel. Same with the booking rates. Now, why we could scale to 100 million in 2 years. It's not that we have the magic sauce. It's not that we're better than you. It's not that I don't think so. I think it's a matter of understanding that you have to be simple when you're running a business, but don't think that you can run a business, $100 million business, from a Google sheet, right? There's all these systems, these categories that would enable growth. And even if you do these categories, so I'm just going to even put this here, even if you do this, like, do everything right, for you to grow, you're still going to have to multiply your growth by your total addressable market to really get your growth potential, right? And I'll get to this because it's very important to know. Very unlikely you're going to do $10 million a month selling just a course. The positive of having a course in a high ticket service is that whenever you get the client, there's other things you can sell them. And what will increase the enterprise value of the company is if you reduce the reliability on the influencer by creating systems, creating mechanisms to deliver value, that the main actor, it's enterprise. It is not like the main actor here, it's enterprise. Because think from the perspective of selling a business. If a company that's listed on the stock market and they acquire technology businesses or like real estate businesses, whatever, to continue growing their portfolio, they apply their methodologies on the business to therefore reduce costs, increase profits, and just like make more money. Will they want to buy a e-learning company that if the influencer leaves, it ends the trust, it ends the progress, it ends like the ads won't work anymore? Or would they buy an e-learning company that has a software, that has a recurring subscription on a type of community that it's not necessarily completely relying on the influencer, that has a strong SEO strategy, that generate organic leads just through the website itself? I mean, it's clear that the obvious answer is the company that has more enterprise assets as it's growing, it's going to be worth more, especially if these enterprise assets are related to technology and software, because the equity multiples are way higher. If you have an e-commerce and you're making 5 million a month, your equity multiples is probably going to be 3 to 4x if you do a discounted future cash flow analysis. Whereas if you have a software company that you're doing 1 million a month in recurring subscriptions, so 12 million ARR, your business is going to be worth it 120 million. It's going to be worth it 10x the amount of money you're making, right? So that is one of the differences, right? But going back to this, why we could scale, I think it's mostly, thinking about this, it was mostly because we've had a lot of automation and technology. We've had competent people and smart processes. Uncompetent people, smart, these two, the more you can increase these two, it's going to lead you to growth, because competent people in chaos, they won't perform. Like, people think that just because someone has a good track record, they are gonna completely change your business and they're gonna take it to the next level. I mean, like, if they could just come out of nothing and just take it to the next level and just completely transform your business, honestly, like, they would have their business, right? So even if the person is competent, they need smart processes. And by smart processes, I mean like processes that are clear, that has a cadence, that has a clear outcome, that it's well documented, and anyone that it's looking at a task template can execute and know the outcome that execution is going to lead them to, right? So competent people, when they see these smart processes, there's a difference. When they see this smart process, when they diagnose the current situation, they can therefore make some hypotheses on how things can run better, gain some of the technical background that requires in your company to make things better, and work towards improving these, right? So that's why competent people and smart processes is important. You can't have one or the other. If you have smart processes, but you're working with, like, I mean, no offense, just don't take this as an offense, but like, if you're working from like Upwork, people from like, $3-4 an hour, and you have a solid process, they may execute well because there's a solid process, but all they'll do is execute that like a robot. They will do it thing by thing. They won't come up to you with new ways of doing things that could be better, or they won't even explain to you the gaps they have noticed in the process. They would just replicate. And there is a good thing on that. The bad thing is that, like, that will lead you to some extent of growth, but it won't pull you out of the business, right? Because if you don't have competent people, then you're always the person. You're like a firefighter, right? Like, you have to put out the fires every time, and people don't seem to, like, there's no silence, there's no quiet in your life, in your business. So competent people, smart processes. Automation and technologies. I mean, I don't even have to explain to you why this is important, right? If you were to count how much money you're paying, what's your head count, how much money you're paying, and out of the activities they're doing that are manual, that could be automated, this is basically unrealized profit that you have, that because the tasks are being manual, people either are less productive or they are not being productive on the things that wouldn't necessarily be able to be automated, right? And also that goes for data as well. You want to have a proactive approach towards data. It's something that I talk about. I've never seen anyone talking about this, so I will claim it for me, right? I know it's hard these days because everybody's just copying everybody. I wouldn't say copying, but inspiring themselves. But a proactive approach to data, it's basically like, you've analyzed your funnel, you understand the key metrics, you have your internal benchmark of what's good and what's bad. You want to make sure there's triggers, there's queries that they're running in the background that basically are going to tell you when certain thing goes below benchmark, and it will trigger either a management task, either an automation. So that way you're not having to check the data and then, oh my gosh, like this conversion, it's terrible, what happened? The data is going to tell this to you. That's proactive data. Reactive data, it's where you have to be looking at the sheet every day, or even like some cases people look at every week. Like imagine there's an issue in your funnel and you're looking at your data every week, and you only realize that there's an issue when you realize there's like less leads or something is off. I mean, by the time you realize that, if you're not necessarily focusing on that, I mean, you've lost a lot of money, right? So that's why I think proactive data is important, automations, technology, because it would not only allow you to better manage people at scale, especially on a remote work environment, but it will give you a benchmark to improve on. So if you measure things automatically and you are notified about them automatically, there's that quote that say what gets measured gets improved. And I will adapt it to what gets measured and gets notified to you automatically not only gets improved, but it will freaking skyrocket. So that's a little bit of automation technology. I could create a whole video on how we use automations and technologies to run like a 120 people team. There's doing like 70 million, per year in sales. But the lower parts is what's gonna mess you up, right? Like lack of systems. Imagine like we don't have a commission management software for 120 people. Everybody's using Google Sheets. Like that happened to us before we scale. Like it was the month that we did like 3 million, and by that time I didn't have anybody helping me on the back end, so I was doing everything by myself. Obviously with a lot of automation and technology. But basically, we needed a commission software, right? Because we've doubled the business in the last month, and then we're going to double it again in the upcoming month. And I remember talking with the lady that it's like an admin lady that helped with the commission sheet stuff. And I was like, let me go through these reports of the closers, like the sales they're put it in, etc. Because we use that to invoice. And basically, we were missing about 300,000 worth of sales because the closers didn't put it on their commission sheet. I know it sounds crazy, but when you have 100 people, a small mistake becomes a big mistake, right? So it's like if you had 10 closers, you probably wouldn't have 300K worth of missing sales. But if you have 100 people, you would have probably a little bit more. So having systems for everything is important because it will allow you to focus on the strategic. By the time you have competent people, smart processes, and systems in place, you start shifting as a leader from the operational tactical more to the strategic. Your job is to think about the constraints of the business and how you can improve and fix those constraints, right? So that's for growth. Now, you may be the best in your market. You may be like the dominant force in your market. But if your total addressable market is very, very, very low, very, very low, very, very low, you're not going to get to 100 million in 2 years. Like if you're selling courses online, probably if it's like courses from like info consultants, like if you're in the space, you've already seen like everybody's calling out the same segment. It's like coaches, consultants, info product creators. If you're selling for this market, very unlikely you're going to do 100 million in 2 years. Why? Because there's only so many people that are willing to pay for this transformation, right? So the total addressable market is going to make a big difference. Imagine how many people want to smoke cigarettes versus building their online course. or scaling their online course. It's way more people that want to smoke cigarettes, way more people that wants to lose weight, way more people that need a car insurance or something like that, right? So your total addressable market, which is the total number of people that have a problem that you can solve, it's going to determine a little bit of your growth, right? So your growth potential, it's not just linked to your business, to this growth equation, if you will, but it's also linked to the total addressable market. So I would imagine, at least this is what I'm doing, because I want to build something that it's not for info product creators, coaches, consultants. Like, even though that's all I've worked my whole life, I think like people are not trustworthy in terms of they don't trust people in the market anymore. It's just somewhat of like, you can find everything online, you know, you don't really need a course unless you're selling the technology that we've used to build this. But overall, like, I'd much rather focus on, let's say, a market where like cybersecurity, they probably, most websites don't even have like a VSL or like a outbound prospecting pipeline automated and set up, and it's a expensive service. So it's like they were willing to pay. The TAM, it's not as great. The TAM is not as high because there are only so many cybersecurity companies in America, but it's like you're getting something from one industry and you're plugging it into another industry, right? And that's what leads to innovation, and that's what leads to competitive advantage, right? So if, let's say you're an info product coach, consultant, whatever, and you go like to software conferences and you go to insurance conferences and whatnot, and then you identify how different ways they're monetizing their audience and the acquisition channels they're using. Maybe you can capture some of that and adapt to your industry, and that will help you grow a little bit more too. But that's, I think, the reason why we could scale is just because like, that's how I built the business. And it's even a little depressing because a lot of the basics and everything's been done, and I feel like I don't have to kill myself working a shit ton anymore and, you know, making $100K a month. So it's like, it's a little depressing when you're not needed. So be careful of this. Obviously you want to do it. I'm very grateful that we're able to do it and you're focusing on this, but, you know, just keep that in mind. So that's the issues. I ended up talking about these issues when scaling, you know. If you don't have this in place, you're not going to be able to scale. You may think you will, but whenever we scale something, there's diminishing returns, right? There's less and less people ready to buy and more people considering purchasing. So as you're scaling, you're not reaching the people that are ready to buy anymore. You're reaching the people that are considering purchasing. You're reaching the people that maybe weren't aware of this problem. So it's like there's a longer sales cycle involved. There's more assets required. There's a bigger operation to be managed. So if you're trying to scale something that requires, you know, humans as leverage, such as an inside sales team, you are going to be bottlenecked by capacity, by processes, by people. So you need to make sure you're always focusing on these two if you already have like a consistent lead flow and you're looking to scale even further. So that is that. Yeah. And then I wrote a case study on how we scale an inside sales team from 0 to 100 million in 2 years, a scalable selling system. I put it as a non-technical action-packed guide with a step-by-step process. I go a little bit more in detail on this. If you want to see it, if you want to, you know, criticize it, hate, comment, use it, love me, whatever, let me know. DM me on Instagram. I haven't built a page or anything like that. Just DM me there. It's Antonio Montero AI. and I will send it to you. But this is a little bit of like the sales system that made us scale to 100 million. I could go in forever talking about this, but this is just a overview and some points that I think people miss when they're analyzing a business. So if you like this video, just subscribe. If you didn't like, subscribe. And comment below. And yeah, I'll post more. I'll see you there. Bye.